I remember just yesterday sitting in the car, watching the rain droplets race down my window, whizzing past the scenery on my way to my brand new home. I was 4 at the time, and my family settled into our new life quite nicely. We got a dog, met the neighbors, and I began to enjoy spending my days here. As time passed, I started to go to school. I made friends that I still talk to this day. I started growing. My happiest days as a child would not last forever, though. My dad got into a work-related accident, and we didn't know if he would ever walk again. Throw in some terrible doctors, United States health insurance, and constant surging pain in both feet. I couldn't play baseball or soccer with my dad anymore. I couldn't play catch or try to beat him in a race. I could still bond with my dad by watching movies and playing video games. We would spend our nights staying up late playing the newest Call of Duty or mining together in Minecraft. I first watched Star Wars with my dad during this time, but all of this too would change. As I grew up, I stopped playing games and watching movies with him more and more. I still love my dad, but time became more and more scarce. As you grow up, things change, for better or for worse. This bittersweet feeling, it seems to fill the air when I think about it, stinging the corners of my lungs. During my childhood, during all of the trying times, I still found joy. I found happiness in media, the joy I could find in the many worlds created by others, these small little safe spaces, ones that helped me laugh, ones that helped me cry, ones that made me feel at ease. Media like this has always been near and dear to my heart. Now that I'm older, however, the things that helped me through rough times, the things that helped me through these great changes, they have changed. As it is with all change, it isn't always for the better. What a feeling to have, to see that which once shielded you fall to the very same foe. At this point, you're probably wondering what this video is even about. That bittersweet feeling that I mentioned, it's about that. It's about seeing the things that I once loved crumble before my very eyes. This is a deeply personal video for me, talking about interests that have dwindled into the darkness. I hope that you can share with me this melancholy. And in the end, maybe we can overcome this burden together. Oh, FNAF. The gift that keeps on giving! Okay, now that the mood has been lightened, let me fucking rant about how terrible modern day FNAF is. If you've been living under a rock for the past 14 years... Oh, wow, that's... Wow. Anyway, if you've been living under a rock for the past 14 years, Five Nights at Freddy's is a game that takes those creepy-ass Chuck E. Cheese animatronics and straps you to a chair, making you fend for your life against them. The first game's minute story is told through secret newspaper clippings, which all point to someone killing 5 kids and stuffing them inside the suits. And now, the suits are haunted. This would further be emphasized in the second game, in which the story is mainly told through mini-games. These cryptic clues would eventually lead to a culture that surrounded these games, allowing for theory crafting and mass discussion. It really helped that the game is so YouTube friendly in all the ways that count. Watching someone play Five Nights at Freddy's is almost better than just playing it yourself. For some people who don't like playing horror games, it is just straight up better. This community would only grow with each and every following game, with each twist and turn in the lore piling up. The games remain scary with some slight additions of humor in later games such as Sister Location and Pizzeria Simulator, but the core of FNAF was always there. Due to the misinformation spread by MatPat about Dream Theory always being intended, the theory community would take a massive blow, always assuming that retcons were just a part of the building the story. That's no fault to MatPat or those who perpetuated these beliefs though. I myself fell hook, line, and sinker for this theory. If you want a better look at what I'm talking about, Five Nights at Freddy's in general, the history, the lore, and the evolution of its community, I urge you to check out Gibby's video linked in the description. It is very long, but very worth it in my opinion, and it will single-handedly convince you that Dream Theory was never meant to begin with. The first few games were all made by Scott Cawthon. After the series' 7th entry with Ultimate Custom Night, the series would be largely handed off to Steel Wool Studios. And here is where the problems begin. Help Wanted is the 8th game in the franchise, and aims to capture some of the previous games in VR. Just a fun little side game, right? Nothing to worry about here. Oh, wait. This is Five Nights at Freddy's. Of course there's lore. So basically, this game takes place within a new universe, making all of the old games a part of the new canon in a way that doesn't mess with their stories. The story of a family. The Aftons. How they were broken and put back together again. How it all culminated in the fire, releasing everyone's souls, finishing all of the tragedy and murder off with one final big bang, allowing a vengeful spirit to seek retribution on their killer by torturing them in hell. I am so glad they didn't mess with the old lore. What a silly mistake that would be. And then they made that mistake. Security Breach and the subsequent games that follow are everything that is wrong with modern FNAF. Not only does the gameplay move completely away from the previous formats, instead ditching it for a standard mascot horror adventure, but it also messes with the perfect original story. Not to mention the 1000% increase on being kid-friendly, making marketable plushies, and almost completely losing its original atmosphere and charm. This is coming from a FNAF World Defender, by the way. This shit is ass! Are the Ruined DLC and Secret of the Mimic good games? Yes. Are they good FNAF games? Hell no. I know that literally no one but crackhead theorists like myself know what this is, but the fact that God David is even a theory that has any sort of ground, let alone being an actual likely possibility, infuriates me to my very core. Just for those who are unaware, the important members of the Afton family are Michael, Elizabeth, Dave, and of course William. Michael being the pseudo-main character and one to eventually undo all of the wrongdoings of his own and father's past. Part of this is the accidental murder of his little brother, Dave. But now that David Murray is in the picture, it's not just a possibility, but a likelihood that William was trying to steal Edwin's life down to his son. Dave Afton is theorized to be, and get this, a boy whose memories are being reshaped into being a vessel for Dave Murray. Not only that, but apparently they're doing it again with Gregory. This shit is so bad. All of these retroactive changes to the story and complete shifts in tone, art style, and gameplay have almost entirely turned me off of the series. And honestly, that's okay. I've outgrown this series, and I have the original canon to look back on. It really does suck to see Five Nights at Freddy's become this absolute abomination of its former self, but what Scott Cawthon made will stick with me forever. Besides, there are definitely some way worse offenders. Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. All I can even say to start this segment is that I am so happy that DC is thriving right now. Marvel, beginning with Iron Man, made one of the best cinematic universes in all of fiction. Being a Marvel fan from Phase 1 all the way through Endgame just has a payoff no one can put into words. I was as excited as anyone else when Phase 4 started, and then everything just started to go downhill. It was miss after miss after miss after miss. Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are not enough to excuse this cacophony of absolute garbage. Honestly, knowing that Fantastic Four is a good movie just hurts even worse, because I know the buildup is going absolutely nowhere. Marvel has failed to give us any new good main characters, so they literally brought back Steve fucking Rogers and Tony Stark. Now that Steve Rogers is back, it's almost outright confirmed that the reason that RDJ is playing Doom is because he's an evil Tony Stark. Just think about that for a second. Let that sink in. The best villain in all of comics has been reduced to nothing but a mere evil doppelganger! Doomsday is going to be one of the worst movies that Marvel has ever put out, and that hurts so much to say. Victor Von Doom is one of my favorite characters ever, and I have to see Marvel fumble the fuck out of him. Now, if the movie is good, somehow, I'll happily eat my words. But with the circumstances, I just do not see that happening. This absolute fall-off is just so hard to watch. So, I've distanced myself. I haven't really let myself be excited for any new Marvel projects, because it always just ends in disappointment. And speaking of which, Call of Duty. Just saying its name irks me a bit nowadays. To explain why, let me take you back to when I was a kid for a second. I remember the very first time I ever picked up a controller. I can see it clearly in my mind. My hands were way too small, so it felt a little awkward to hold. I had to keep looking down at the buttons to press them. I couldn't have been much older than 2 or 3. I look up from the buttons, back to the game. Black Ops 1's on. I was on 5, playing with my dad. Of course, we never really made it far, but that instilled something deep inside me. Over the years, I would pick up the new COD or go back and play some older ones. Campaigns, multiplayers, and especially zombies. But we've been through this song and dance before, and I'm sure every gamer out there is aware of just how far COD has fallen. But just in case,
somehow, despite not having a script in front of me, I feel like this is going to be more cohesive than Noah's section later in this video. I don't know, we'll get back to you on that one. So, when I was younger, I didn't have Xbox Live. It was just something that I didn't even really know existed for the longest time, so I never got to play any Call of Duty multiplayers during their prime, at least not any of the good ones. That being said, I did play a lot of Call of Duty. Obviously, Zombies is going to be talked about a little bit later, but for me, the part of Call of Duty that I always had fun with was the campaigns. There was something so special about them. Black Ops 1 to be particular, because that was not only my first Call of Duty, but it, for the longest time, was my favorite. The story was unlike anything I had seen before. Not only did it feature my GOAT, Sam Worthington, in probably his best performance, definitely his best performance, it also featured an amazing story with characters from previous games that I hadn't played at that point, and the sort of non-linear narrative that instantly drew me in. There was something unique about it, something that had never been seen in other military-esque stories before. This sentiment would follow into Black Ops 2, which had actual non-linear elements to it, open map design, player choice, different endings, one of the best villains I've seen, period. And more importantly, it treated these stories with respect. They took their time, developed the characters, their motivations. Each mission had a certain flow, a pacing to it, and the cutscenes actually mattered to what was happening in the story. A lot of these sentiments can't really be said anymore. Now, the modern Call of Duty campaigns are very hard to quantify because they all do something very differently wrong. Modern Warfare 2019 is just a genuinely amazing campaign, though a weak villain. Cold War, likewise, very, very good campaign with just some weak villain and player choice that didn't quite live up to Black Ops 2. And after that, we got Vanguard, which I think does just about everything wrong. And somehow it's not the worst. After that we have Modern Warfare 2, which, although having an absolutely nonsensical plot, does have incredible characters and amazing gameplay, probably the best gameplay that Call of Duty campaigns have ever gotten. And then Modern Warfare 3, which is Warzone with cutscenes, and somehow less interesting, actually. Black Ops 6 had a really, really good beginning, and then had the hardest fall off I've ever seen of any story ever. And then there's Black Ops 7, which, well, you heard what I said about Modern Warfare 3. They just do something entirely different. Something wrong is done each time, sure, maybe except for Cold War and Modern Warfare, but it's something different. The one unifying factor of these campaigns, and the reason why I don't think they're as good as they very well could be, especially Black Ops 6, is time. Time and this absolutely vicious COD cycle. They don't have the time anymore to write out these stories at the length that they need to be. They don't have the time to do the rewrites that they need to have in order for cohesion to make sense. And even if they did, the yearly cycle is vicious. It makes it to where they run out of ideas so much faster, and that isn't helped by the fact that we're just getting basically Black Ops and Modern Warfare one after another, or one after itself. The only difference was Vanguard. And that was just another World War II game. There's nothing interesting that they can go anymore without jumping the shark. I don't know. I just miss when they treated these stories with respect, when they took their time to write out a good, cohesive plot with good, cohesive characters that actually impacted it. I'll forever remember Reznov's betrayal, that twist, seeing that he wasn't even there for most of the campaign. I will never forget the first time that I looked Raul Menendez in the eyes and that final mission and pulled the trigger. I had to make that choice as someone who's probably way too young to make a choice like that, and I didn't want to, but look what he had done. I felt the character and the weight behind the decision because the character was so good, and now there's nothing quite like that anymore. There's big twists, like the middle of Black Ops 6, but they don't feel as real, as impactful, because it doesn't go anywhere. The writing isn't complementary to the purpose of the story, because there is no purpose. There's no lesson they're trying to teach or themes they're trying to explore. Now, a lesson, granted, wouldn't really work for how political war stories already are just by their very nature. Look at Modern Warfare 2019, for example, a game that tried not to be political, only to probably be the most political game of that year. The themes, I mean, Black Ops 2 explored so many themes of revenge and grief. Black Ops 1, just as much so. Maybe not grief, but super heavy themes of revenge and losing oneself. But what themes can you really point out in any game past 2019? Even Cold War, as much as I like that story and as much as I love the characters that they introduced in it, what's the theme? Maybe I'm the last person to care about these campaigns. Maybe nobody actually gives a shit if they're well written, except the reviewers online. But man, some of these recent campaigns make Ghosts look good. And look, I love what Ghosts could have been, but don't lie and say that Ghosts had a good campaign. There's so many undercooked ideas. That's not the point of this video. Alright, look, listen to this asshole talk about multiplayer. I'm just hurt.
Call of Duty multiplayer has always been focused on a few main points: guns, weapon balance, and maps. To have a good COD multiplayer, the bare essentials require that you have fun guns to shoot, have relatively balanced weapon variety, and fun maps to play on. The innovation of this mode would hit its peak around 2012 when Black Ops 2 came out. Modern Warfare 1 through 3 and Black Ops 1 and 2 were genuinely the peak of COD multiplayer, allowing for more than just the bare essentials. Fun score streaks, hitting a nuke, having fun lethals and tacticals. The game's formula would eventually run stale though. I mean, after you hit your peak, what really is there to do but to try something different? If old COD had gotten as good as it can...
Oh! Oh my god! Oh! Oh my fucking god! Oh! Oh! No! Get the camera!
Then you have to try something new. The problem is that these quote-unquote innovations, such as new movement and specialist systems, were too little and too late. Advanced movement would receive such backlash from the community, and for good reason, that making major changes to the game's original formula became actively discouraged. The big leaps Activision let the studio take all failed. All except for one. You guys might remember a little game called Fortnite. This would lead to the world-renowned release of COD's official battle royale, Blackout! Wait, that's not right. Yeah, so Black Ops 4 actually had a battle royale before Modern Warfare did. One that, in my opinion, is actually kind of better than Warzone. Eventually though, due to the unmodular nature of Blackout and its unpopularity, Activision would put all their bets on red once again with one more battle royale, seeing how much the big bucks were made from Fortnite for Epic. Now enters Warzone. And from here, it's all downhill. This mode would slowly turn Call of Duty into another Fortnite, with characters like Rambo, Ghostface, Leatherface, John McCain, Godzilla, Jigsaw, Homelander, and fucking Beavis and Butthead. And by the way, these skin packs cost upwards of $20 to $30. These absolute scam skins that ruined COD's immersion along with anime tracer packs significantly contributed to my love for this franchise completely dying. By the time that Black Ops 7 released with promises to try and keep it more realistic, you could already play as Ted from fucking Transit. COD will probably never be the same, and honestly, I don't really want it to be. I sure as hell don't want them to go down the route that Pokemon did, but this also sucks. Seeing them barely innovate and turn out the same game every year with not only minute changes, but bad changes just hurts. Oh, zombies, my beloved. Oh, how you've changed. I want to make it clear to all of you right now that this is going to be a majorly condensed version of my thoughts. This video is already going to be pretty long, and I want to make a dedicated video to the downfall of Call of Duty Zombie mode. For this segment, base level knowledge about COD zombies is required, so proceed with caution. You can attribute many things to the downfall of zombies, but let's start with zombies' golden child, Black Ops 3. You may be surprised that I'm starting here, as BO3 is pretty well renowned. While BO3 does have some of the best maps in Zombies history, along with Zombies Chronicles and even custom maps on PC, it isn't without its problems. Some systems were drastically changed or even newly created. Let's start with health. In older games, without the titular Juggernaut, you go down in 2 hits. BO3 coined the 3-hit down, allowing for players to spawn in with slightly more health. Overall, this change isn't terrible as it allows for new players to get accustomed to the game much easier. The zombies' AI, pathing, and speed was also changed slightly to compensate for this change. The problem is that it trivializes early rounds, and it gets rid of that feeling of being fragile that old zombies' early rounds are known for. This would snowball into Black Ops 4, where they increased the health even further to 4 hits, making the player completely overpowered at the beginning of the game. But we'll get back to it. Black Ops 3 also added Gobblegum, a new system that allows you to take a piece of gum from the Gobblegum machine, granting a power-up. This can be anything from making yourself invisible to zombies, to literally getting every perk in the game with no perk limit. I think we all see the problem here. Not only are Mega Gobblegums absolutely overpowered, as they can literally even skip rounds for you, but they are also a fucking gambling device! You can pay Activision real world money to spin Dr. Monty's machine and get random gobblegums. Now, if everyone had access to all gobblegums at all times, ergo you had no gobblegum loadout and consumable gobblegums were no longer a thing, then it honestly becomes a way better system. Imagine you just go up to the machine, you hit it for 500 points, and then you get a random gobblegum, including any of the megas or classics. This would just be so much better. Sure, there's a slim chance you get a Perkaholic or a Round Robin, but you can also spin the mystery box and get the Thunder Gun. It just feels so much more like zombies, and it is a much healthier way for the system to be implemented. But it stayed almost exactly the same as it carried over to Black Ops 4 in the form of elixirs. Finally is the change in movement. While the movement is much smoother than previous games, the limits of older games led to refined movement tech that got boiled down to slide canceling. This would not only be carried in the future games, but would eventually become much worse as slide canceling would be removed. This gets rid of the last bit of movement tech available in favor of mounting and hurdling the environment, which completely takes away from the enclosed and tight atmosphere of OG zombies. We already said that Black Ops 4 made health and gobblegum even worse, but there's so much more. Black Ops 4 aimed to cure a problem of old zombies: crutch perks. Crutch perks are basically perks that the player feels they need to get, such as Juggernog and Quick Revive in solo, as it gives you 3 extra lives. The thought was that having these removed would allow for greater player freedom and self-expression, making games feel less samey. Well, not only did the system they implement fail to remove crutch perks at all, but the new perk system takes away all of the characters the old system had. The new perk machines are completely lifeless, and you are unable to switch what perks you want mid-game, stuck to the same 4 once you start. They also added even more loadout systems, including a non-pistol starting weapon and a specialist. A specialist, mind you, is better than most, if not all wonder weapons in this game. So you literally spawn in with elixirs that can give you every perk, 4 hits worth of health, a shotgun or submachine gun, and a fucking wonder weapon. They would continue to try and fix this problem by removing the perk limit in Black Ops Cold War, incorporating multiplayer elements such as score streaks and a mini-map, the presence of loadouts, the lack of zombie-specific HUDs, low ambience, shitty story, shitty characters, worse point system, mantling, and so much more just piled on the zombies after Black Ops 4. So much so that it's truly hard to recognize it these days. I know there are people out there who enjoy the modern mode, and you know what? More power to you. But to me, this isn't anything like OG Zombies, and I'm not gonna pretend I like it. I miss classic zombies, and I wish that we could have it with better graphics and more ambitious Easter eggs. Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that that day will never come.
How do we know? How do we know?
Let me think about it. Wherever I go, you know I'll be kicking ass. Balls.
Over a decade ago, for my 6th birthday, I received the holy grail of all handheld devices, a 3DS. I loved playing the 3DS, just as much as I loved playing my Wii. Mario Kart, Skylanders, Pokemon, Mario Galaxy, so many good games. Nintendo was at their peak. Reggie and Iwata were at the top of their game, communicating clearly with their audience and giving the players exactly what they wanted. But then, Iwata died, and Reggie stepped down. Ever since, Nintendo has been on a roller coaster of terrible IP decisions, games, copyright usage, and even consoles. The Switch 2 is such a failure of a console in every facet. It fails to truly innovate upon the original design of the Switch, and every other game other than DK Bonanza kinda sucks ass. Mario hasn't had a good game since Odyssey, and don't even get me started on the rest of their IPs. Metroid Prime 4 recently came out, and that's a hunk of ass, as well as the entire downfall of 3D Zelda as a whole. You know what? For that, I'll let Noah take over.
Hello? Testing, is this thing on? It is. Holy guacamole, anyway. Hello, viewer. Looking pretty good today, you know, I like your shoes, they're pretty good shoes. Your cool dress is nice too. Nico and working recording, it's always classic, you know, Nico shenanigans. That's what it is. But you're looking good, except you, Austin. You look like shit. Fuck you. But anyway, if you don't know me, I am the funny small man you probably won't see too much of for certain reasons. Nico, this is the part where you put in the funny meme. From Instant Reels, you know that funny should put it in there. Maybe even the Jungle, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. Anyway, and I'm here to be contrarian about some games that most people seem to like a lot. Yes, I have a massive forehead, and I'm part of... Not really, but I like making... I'm not like that though, so don't worry about it. Those games being Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Now, although I've been a lifelong Zelda fan, and as of the moment do prefer a more linear designed Zelda game, I'm actually not a hater of 3D Zelda being in a more open direction. If anything, I think it was a smart direction to go. My main problem is in the execution, really. If I were to make a thesis statement on the problems of Switch 3D Zelda, it would probably be like a Zelda game with minimal Zelda content. Or at least, what the fuck did I... Don't cut this, Nico. Or at least less... Wait, I didn't fucking write this right! Anyway, well, I'm skipping that fucking... So fuck that sentence in particular, I'm skipping it. What I mean by that... Wait, I just didn't write this correctly at all. I didn't proofread this. Whatever. We're rolling. We're fine. One straight. Swap! What I mean by that is that, with these recent games, there seems to be a greater focus on the game being as open and free as possible, at the expense of many of the staples that made the previous game shine. This can include most of the side quests being quite generic and boring, a decent chunk of the world building relying on copy and paste fan service from previous games, that just kind of feels pandering and lazy. Tears of the Kingdom makes that so much worse. You wouldn't believe it. I'm gonna explode like pyrocynical. The lack of weird-ass characters that I wouldn't feel safe around or having the children feel safe around is kind of lame too. And the complete downgrade dungeon design, and all of them being in the lowest ranking Zelda dungeons in the whole series is pretty lame too. I'll elaborate more, but I don't feel like fucking finishing writing this section, but fuck you, and you can wait for my 3-hour video to come out in April. Actually, don't like any part of me, I like you guys a lot, and I wouldn't disrespect you like that. You're pretty cool. I like you and your shoes, it's great. Except for you, Austin, fuck you! Alright, this is the part where instead I can be the audio transition for the Minecraft part. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sing a Minecraft song from the hit game Minecraft to a good cool transition. Don't worry, this will be very funny. I'm gonna start it in 3, 2, 1. Plong, 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 plong. I thought that was pretty good. Goodbye, I love you now.
Two things happened in my first year of kindergarten. I made my first friends, and I discovered Minecraft. Within my first few friends was a very special friend that we will call Gordon. While I made two best friends in my childhood that I would talk to throughout, Gordon would be someone who became a brother to me. He would sleep most nights at my house, do homework, and eat dinner with us. Like I said, I also discovered Minecraft during this time, and I was in love. I would go on to understand every facet of this game, loving every single bit of it. Eventually, around the same time that Microsoft bought Mojang, I also lost my friend. I won't go into detail here, that's a story from another day, but I wouldn't be able to talk to him for a very long time. Eventually, we would reconnect, and while things were different, we were still best friends. After his visit, Gordon would go back home, and we would lose touch for even longer than we did the first time. Not because we couldn't talk, but simply because we didn't. When we did talk again, it wasn't even close to the same. I had to relearn how to talk with him and have a new relationship. One that isn't as tightly knit or constant as our childhood together. The reason I tell you all of this, it's because this is the exact same way I feel about Minecraft. It just so happens that both things changed around the same time in my life, with my friend being taken away from me and the Minecraft acquisition by Microsoft. I don't mean to make light of such a serious event by comparing it to the block game, but honestly, they both genuinely give me the same feeling. This thing that I used to know wholeheartedly and spend all my time with was taken away from me and changed over the years. So much so that the entire direction that it was going in is away from where I would have wanted. My breaks from Minecraft often coincided with the gaps in Gordon and I's friendship as well. As I previously said for some other sections in this video, I'm not going to go into full detail as I plan on making a dedicated video on Minecraft. Just letting that be known. Seeing where Minecraft has gone today has made me proud of it. Being the most popular game on the entire planet is a huge achievement, but it also comes with a lot of pressure. Minecraft is an extremely vast and multifaceted game. There are so many different communities and sub-communities within the overall Minecraft community. Trying to make all these people happy can't be easy, and I honestly commend Mojang for their work to keep the community happy. The way that game drops work by giving us a good amount of content 4 times a year is pretty cool and makes sure that the game never feels stale. I just feel like we should be getting more. I don't know if it's Mojang and their rules or Microsoft giving them pressure from behind the scenes, but honestly it feels like there's just a lot of red tape involved somewhere. I can remember all the great updates of the olden days and the great updates of new. Within each of them, it felt like they were so jam-packed and that the game was going to significantly change forever. With updates after the Microsoft acquisition, however, it seems like a lot more things that were promised couldn't be delivered. Or maybe more accurately, that the things introduced were left half-finished. The fletching table is the most notable example from the Village and Pillage update. I personally even prefer this. I mean, as long as it's a major update, I don't mind some things being left half-finished and being touched up in later updates. It just makes it feel like a much more notable community event. I very much understand that from a business perspective, making smaller drops across the entire year is better for engagement. But I really miss the consistent, bigger updates. It has been a very long time since the last one, and I honestly just wish that Minecraft would do more and faster. I mean, honestly, seeing all these modders do these things in crazy amounts of time just makes me feel like there's something going on behind the scenes. If they are insistent on doing game drops, I feel like they can make way more content than what they do now. It's almost like they're scared. It just hurts to see the magical game about creativity stifle its own creators' creativity by running all their ideas through a fucking book. And honestly, I don't even want to talk about Shit Rock Edition at all, because it's just gonna make me mad. I was genuinely so hyped at the Better Together update, and I genuinely just hate what it's become.
Look how they massacred my boy.
It just saddens me. If you're happy with modern Minecraft, genuinely more power to you. I also still love the game, actually. Just the same way I love my friend. In a slightly different way from before. You know, escapism can only last so long before the marching sands of time break down your walls. We can all pretend that FNAF ended with Ultimate Custom Night. We could only watch Marvel movies up until Phase 3. We could play only the older Call of Duties and classic Nintendo games. You could even play the older versions of Minecraft exclusively. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if it's your preference. Engage with art in any way you feel. But to me, ignoring change is only a game of pretend. While I don't feel as though I have conquered this feeling and gotten over it, I think that's okay. To have this hurt means that there was something worth losing. I may not be invested in the future of all of these IPs, but I am invested in their past. That's worth something at least. Thank you for watching, dear viewer. Remember to drink some water. And remember, don't you dare go hollow. Damn.